What's good, YouTube? Zamcrow here, aka Scoot, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation Season 7, Week number 8. And we're taking on Bronson, coach of the Portland Poliwags, a controversial figure in the Draft League community, as he claims he is the Colin Kaepernick of the Draft League community, which is a pretty cool idea that, he compares himself to him and stuff like that. He stands up for what he believes in and doesn't mind to say what he thinks. Anyways, we are the Blackmont Raikougars, and we are on a pretty solid win streak since our first match, where we lost our first two matches where we lost 5-0 and we lost 1-0 in our week 2 battle. Since then, we have won week 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're on a nice win streak, sitting at 5-2 now with a +9 differential, so pretty solid there. And we have a pretty solid team. Like, I enjoy my team so much, and I feel like we can win every game that we're, any situation in any game we're put in this season. So that's the idea here as well. Bronson hasn't played that well this season. He hasn't really put effort forth, and I'm kind of bummed out about that because he was one of the coaches I expected to stand out this season, but he hasn't put forth the effort that I know he's capable of. I know he's much better than what he's shown so far. However, we have built a pretty solid team. As you see on screen, our roster and his roster. Our roster is Weavile, Tapu Fini, Zapdos, Nidoqueen, Heatran, Serena, Haxorus, Mega Medicham, Licky, and Palossand, where our Z-move users are Haxorus and Palossand, and his roster consists of Mega Lopunny, Tornadus Therian, Crocodile, Arcanine, Metagross, Sylveon, Alomomola, Goodra, Vileplume, Durant, and Electabuzz. So you can see his team's pretty offensively oriented. Looks like some bulky offense to me, plus Mega Lopunny to clean up most matches. We have a pretty solid team as well, so there's not necessarily a tilt in matchup, in my opinion, in this matchup. I feel like we both have huge threats to each other. I think the main thing that I feel like my advantage would be is Zapdos. It's solid versus Mega Lopunny. It's solid versus Tornadus Therian. It's a solid switch into Earthquake from Crook. Can take Metagross on pretty well and things like that. Alomomola and Vileplume, Durant. Not really huge threats to Zapdos. While I can't do much to Goodra and Electabuzz, I could be a Toxic variant or something like that and really pressure them. And lots of different things like that. So my opponent could bring Mega Lopunny, Cosmic Power, Baton Pass, Power Up Punch, Baton Pass, all kinds of weird takes like that. It could be fake out 3 attacks with like High Jump Kick, Return, and maybe Quick Attack potentially. Tornadus Therian could be like a U-turn Hurricane set. It could be an Assault Vest variant. Could be a Taunt set. Taunt makes a lot of sense versus my team. Can taunt the Heatran, the Serena potentially. Even things like Haxorus and potentially preventing it from setting up and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's his roster, and we'll go ahead and get into our roster. We have, well, not our roster, but our team here. First, we're rocking the Adamant Life Orb Weavile with 252 EVs in attack, 252 EVs in speed. This allows us to outpace a lot of things on my opponent's team. Let's see, most notably I know what it is. I'm expecting his speed creeps to be to speed creep base 100s, I believe. I'm pretty sure base 100s would be where his speed creeps at, and then I'm speed creeping base 100s, or his Pokemon that would be speed creeping base 100s. So that's the general idea there. And outpace everything. Stab, knockoff, Life Orb, knockoff, Adamant, Life Orb, knockoff, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Pursuit. So Pursuit's there because things like Tornadus Therian, Metagross are going to be trying to switch out. Unless Metagross has Bullet Punch, it's definitely going to be switching out versus a Weavile, especially if I've already revealed Life Orb. And I can also catch things like Goodra, Alomomola that might want to catch its regen. I can catch it with Pursuit and maybe prevent that from happening. And really cool takes like that. So I always think that's cool. This thing outspeeds the majority of his team outside of things like Tornadus Therian and Mega Lopunny. which I don't expect either of them to be max speed. I do expect Megalopony to be outpacing me, but I don't necessarily expect his Tornadus Therian to be faster than what I'm sitting at right now, because he really only needs to outpace base 100s. So this is the Weavile set I've been bringing, or I'll be bringing, and that's basically it. Just really fast, really strong, and nice pursuit trapping. For certain scenarios, I didn't want to run a Life Orb set. I felt it wasn't going to work out in this matchup, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to, like, if I was to set up a Swords Dance, I would still be revenge killed by things like Megalopony and stuff like that. So I didn't bother bringing something like that. Next up, we have Tapu Fini here with the leftovers. Taunt, Moonblast, and Nature's Madness with Defog. This is our designated defogger. However, I don't expect to be defogging. I expect my opponent to maybe bring rocks, and I feel like we're going to win the Hazard War. I don't mind him getting rocks up as long as I get my rocks and my Toxic Spikes up, as you'll see I have later on. This thing switches into Megalopony, okay. Tornadus Therian, okay. It switches into everything decently. Nothing, spectacularly, but it's fast enough and has taunt and defog. So this is a solid mon in my opinion. It switches into Goodra, can taunt the Alomomola, can taunt the Sylveon, the Metagross, all kinds of things like that. Switches into Crocodile pretty solidly and revenge kills it with Moonblast and stuff like that. And Nature's Madness can get big hits off on things like Sylveon and maybe Alomomola, or like a Vileplume or something like that. That can be problematic to Tapu Fini or something like that. I think I'll avoid a 2-hit KO from Return after Rocks with this defense investment, and same thing for Hurricane from Tornadus, like a Life Orb Tornadus Therian. I think I'll avoid a 2-hit KO from that after Stealth Rocks. I think that's my only true investment. I know I live like a Wild Charge from a Life Orb Arcanine after Stealth Rocks pretty comfortably. I'm not going to survive a 2-hit KO, but like I can come in on Rocks probably twice, maybe 3 times, and still survive a Wild Charge and be able to get off a decent hit with Moonblast. And hopefully I'll have my Rocks and Toxic Spikes up to also wear down some of things like Megalopony, Crocodile, Arcanine, Sylveon, Alomomola. I do have Misty Terrain, which is going to block people from getting poisoned some of the time, but not all of the time. So I think it's okay to bring Toxic Spikes with this set as well. So next up we have our boy Zapdos. We got a boy Zapdos here with the Agility Baton Pass Mono Thunderbolt with Roost. So I don't expect my opponent to believe I'll bring Mono Thunderbolt, since he has like Electabuzz, which he could bring an Assault Vest variant to be a check to Zapdos. He could bring a Crocodile, which is immune to Thunderbolt, and he could bring Goodra, which takes like 7% from Thunderbolt, probably not even 7%. I'm Spadef. This thing switches in on Tornadus Therian infinitely. And as it switches out into something like Crook, I can set up an Agility and then Baton Pass into something like Mega Medicham or Tapu Fini or something like that, and then survive any one hit and then threaten anything out. Especially if Mega Medicham gets an Agility pass to it, I feel like that could be a wrap. Mega Medicham's a monster. This thing has really high Spadef, so it's taking Hyper Voice from Sylveon pretty solidly. Takes hits from Electabuzz pretty comfortably as well, and Vileplume's not an issue. Draco's from Goodra's not an issue as well. And like I mentioned earlier, infinitely switches in on Tornadus Therian, so not a huge issue there whatsoever. I got enough defense investment, and you see I have static on screen. I actually can't run static with Baton Pass, so that's gonna be changed to pressure, so I'm not going to be able to get the static off on Megalopony or Crocodile or Arcanine or anything that wants to hit me on the physically defensive side, or hit me with a physically offensive attack, I should say. But yeah, the idea is to just Baton Pass and Agility out to Mega Medicham. I don't need coverage. I feel like Thunderbolt hits everything I need it to hit. I'm not going to be trying to stay in on Crocodile anyway, and I'll just Baton Pass out. I do have ways of dealing with Crocodile anyway. So yeah, that's just about it for Zapdos. And I'm not running any speed on Zapdos, just like I'm not running any speed on Nidoqueen, because I want to gauge speed tiers and see what, like he's going to be running bulky offense, and I want to gauge like how much speed this offense has. So I'm running no speed EVs, and like I did run speed on Tapu Fini, but not on Zapdos or Nidoqueen, as you can see. Max physically defensive here. I thought about running Poison Point, but like I'm running Toxic Spikes, so I really felt like Sheer Force was a little bit better. Switches into Megalopony pretty comfortably. Can set up Stealth Rocks and Earth Power and Sludge Wave. hits pretty much everything on his or on my opponent's team, at least neutrally. And then Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rock's really going to wear down like my entire or his entire roster. I take hits from Arcanine, Sylveon, Alamomola pretty decently since I max defense. I take hits from Electabuzz pretty comfortably as well. And like I mentioned, Mega Lopunny. This is my switch into Mega Lopunny, despite not having Poison Point. I think max defense, Black Sludge, and Nidoqueen. Since I do resist High Jump Kick, is a pretty solid switch in to Mega Lopunny. So there's that. And like I mentioned, Toxic Spikes wears down things like Goodra, Alamomola, Sylveon, Crocodile, Arcanine. That could be huge threats and potential issues. And I did mention Misty Terrain can be problematic for my Toxic Spikes, but it's not that big of an issue, so I can work around it. But yeah, that's just about it for Nidoqueen, I suppose. Designated Stealth Rocker. Could potentially be a designated lead, depending on what he brings, but it could be a designated lead. I'm trying to think of things that could deter a Nidoqueen lead. Outside of something like Metagross or Crocodile, I'm not really seeing something that completely deters my lead. But yeah, that's going to be it for that. We can move on to Licky Licky, our 5th member of the team, which is a Max PBF set. I'm going to Max PBF because it's kind of needed in this matchup to take hits better from Goodra. It's a secondary check to Tornadus Therian with Ice Beam, and Earthquake can hit things like Arcanine, Metagross, and Wish Protect for longevity and a solid backbone and a way to support the rest of my 3 defensive members in Tapu Fini, Zapdos, and Nidoqueen. So really looking forward to seeing what Licky Licky can do. I'm running Oblivious, so I can't be taunted by something like Tornadus Therian or Crocodile, and can always get off my wishes, can always protect myself and scout and see what my opponent wants to go for, see if he's got. And Protect also helps against High Jump Kick, Mega Lopunny. That's something to mention, I do believe. But yeah, that's just about it. Leftovers. Ensures, okay, first of all, I ensure like survivability from hits like Tornadus Therian's Hurricane, Sylveon's Hyper Voice, Goodra's Draco Meteor, Electabuzz's Thunderbolt, even if it's like modest specs or anything like that. It's not doing much damage to me nothing's doing much damage to me on the special defensive side, and I'm, HP stat is 110. And my defense stat is 95, so I'm naturally defensive bulky, so I'm taking hits from things like Crocodile and Arcanine anyway. I'm not taking hits from Mega Lopunny well, but I'm not wanting to take hits from Mega Lopunny well anyway. That's why I have Nidoqueen. Okay, so last but not least, we have Mega Medicham, our boy Oracle here, the shiny Mega Medicham with that pure power ability. Got the Fake Out, High Jump Kick, Psycho Cut, and the Drain Punch. I'm packing Drain Punch because he could really run and protect on things that I want to scout. So I want to run Drain Punch as well as High Jump Kick. High Jump Kick nukes things at the end game once I've scouted for everything. Psycho Cut hits things that High Jump Kick doesn't hit, such as Tornadus Therian and Vileplume, his 2 resist, and I guess Sylveon to an extent. I guess Psycho Cut's mainly there for Sylveon. I'm adamant max attack because I can put out the most damage output possible while still outspeeding. Some things up to, I think, let me check real quick. I'm set at 290 speed, so I outspeed base 95s that have no speed, or that have not a speed boosting nature, and adamant High Jump Kicks they're fucking nukes, really, they're fucking nukes. And the idea, since I'm not Jolly, don't have max speed or anything like that, the idea is to get the Baton Pass from Zapdos with an agility, and then be, a ×2 speed, adamant max attack Mega Medicham with ×2 speed and the ability to click High Jump Kick, Psycho Cut, and Drain Punch. And Drain Punch can also, like if he brings in a Crocodile, and it could potentially be like a Choice Scarf variant, and he clicks Earthquake and does like half to me, a little bit over half, and I click Drain Punch and knock him out and get all that health back, that's pretty cool for me, like being able to get that health back and maybe surviving another hit, or any kind of like priority he might have, like on Mega Lopunny or Arcanine, or even Metagross with the Bullet Punch, extreme speed and quick attack respectively. So that's pretty dope. But yeah, that's going to be it for the team builder, and we can go ahead and hop into the battle now and see how it goes. Here we are with the battle. My opponent chooses to bring the Durant, the Electabuzz, the Metagross, the Mega Lopunny, Crocodile, and the Arcanine. So immediately I noticed no Tornado Therian, no Alamomolo or Sylveon, and no Goodra. So no Wish Pass, no fat shit. Well, he does got fat shit, but not as fat as what I was expecting. And yeah, so we have a pretty solid matchup from this point of view. As long as he doesn't reveal any kind of weird text and catches off guard, he could potentially eliminate Zapdos and be like an Agility Metagross, and that could be problematic. He could be like he could eliminate my Dark Resist or weaken them enough to where like a Scarf Moxie Crook could potentially sweep with knockoff, and that could be problematic. And Arcanine could be a offensive problem or a defensive problem, depending on what kind of set he is. And the Durant and Electabuzz really are both two, how can I word this? Threats from their respective tiers, I suppose. Not quite like Mega Lopunny is, but in their respective tiers, quite the threats. But the one we haven't talked about yet is Mega Lopunny itself. Huge threat. I feel prepared for it. I do have Zapdos and Tapu Fini, both of which can take a hit, and Nidoqueen, which is my designated response to it. As long as nothing, cheeky or weird happens, we should be decently okay against Mega Lopunny. That being said, my opponent's two rockers are Crocodile and Metagross, both of which are what's the word? Offensively checked by Weavile, so I don't expect him to lead with those, and I more so expect him to lead with Mega Lopunny because I do have the Weavile, which is a pretty solid lead for me. I could also lead Nidoqueen, which is my designated Stealth Rocker, and has Toxic Spikes on it. So knowing that Nidoqueen is my most likely lead, I'm going to expect my opponent to lead with Crocodile, which would work really, really well against my Nidoqueen. I don't think Electabuzz was a solid lead because Nidoqueen was such a likely lead for me, unless he just predicted me to predict his Crocodile lead, and then he led with the Electabuzz to catch me off guard. So now I'm at a disadvantage, and I have to gonna have to switch out here. Not want to take an electric type attack. It's a hard switch out into my immunity and Nidoqueen as my opponent goes for the Screech immediately, and it lowers my defense here. I'm going to hard switch out to Licky and see what he wants to go for here. I know he wasn't going to go for an electric type attack, and we're going to be able to see what he wants to go for here as he clicks the Screech. As I click Earthquake, he gets some nice damage off, doing almost half. I'm going to hard switch back out into Nidoqueen as he most likely goes for the electric type attack. He reveals Cross Chop here, and I get my Nidoqueen back in basically for free, and I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rocks here, I do believe, and he goes for Ice Punch and gets a crit, which is a little bit unfortunate. I'm going to be able to take two still, and I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to set up my Toxic Spikes. So now I'm at a pretty solid position, and I'm going to switch out to Licky in hopes of passing a Wish back out to my Nidoqueen. So that's going to be the ideal here, as my opponent goes for the Screech. As I set up my Wish perfectly as I wanted to, I'm going to hard switch right into my Nidoqueen because I know I can take an Ice Punch as well, and I get my Wish back, and I'm back to full. So I'm going to hard switch back out to Licky. He's missed these Screeches, so that's a little bit unfortunate for my opponent, but I am playing as if he hit him. So I'm hard switching the way I would as if he hit him, and trying to make the game as fair as possible. So I'm going to hard switch back out to my Nidoqueen. He goes for the Cross Chop here, and essentially getting Nidoqueen back in for free. He can click Screech here, but I will be able to knock him out with the Earth Power finally. And it took 12 turns, but I've got my Rocks up, a layer of Toxic Spikes up, and all my team basically at full. And he brings in his Crocodile here and doubles out into his Arcanine, reading my hard switch into Tapu Fini so that he could get a hard hit off to set his Mega Lopunny up in a position to be a huge threat to my team now. As you can see, that did well over half, and now he's going to be able to two-hit KO me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in and predict him to read my switch and hope that I live the Fly Forward Flare Blitz as I do. So like I mentioned, he got his Mega Lopunny in, and he managed to do it while I had the terrain up. He forced my Fini in so that he could bring his Mega Lopunny in. without, with the terrain up so that he wouldn't be poisoned and he would only take a little bit of rocks damage. So now he's able to knock me out with the return after the wild charge damage from Arcanine. And now Mega Lopunny is a huge threat. So I'm immediately going to go out to my Nidoqueen. I'm going to be able to take the Ice Punch. He goes for the return on the following turn. And Black Sludge is actually going to put me out of the return margin so that he's forced to click Ice Punch. But I can't necessarily switch into Licky Licky because then he's just going to go for the High Jump Kick. I can't switch into Weavile because he's just going to go for the High Jump Kick or something like that. And Weavile doesn't want to take an Ice Punch anyway. Can't switch into Zapdos. Static isn't there anyway. And Ice Punch is likely a 3-hit KO. It potentially frees me as well, so it's not ideal to switch into that. I could switch into Mega Medicham and click Fake Out and knock this thing out, but I didn't want to risk anything, so I'm just going to stay in here and let him knock me out with the Ice Punch. And now I'm going to bring in Mega Medicham, and essentially my opponent has to sack something, but he hard switches into Durant, takes the Fake Out pretty solidly, being a Steel type. And what I'm going to do is hard switch out into my Zapdos, as he does 27% here. I can live any one hit though, so I'm going to go for the Agility as he misses the Stone Edge. Now I was playing so fast here that I didn't actually notice the miss immediately until I think he said something in the chat. I don't think it mattered because had he landed it, I would have just baton passed the following turn instead of being able to throw off a Thunderbolt first. I would have baton passed immediately out into Mega Medicham and more than likely have won the game from there. But since my opponent missed the Stone Edge, I'm still at full here, and I'm going to be able to outspeed the Durant here on the following turn. And I'm just going to click Thunderbolt because I can ensure that this thing is gone and that I get chip on something else as well. So here he's going to bring in the Metagross, and what I'm going to do is get that chip damage to make sure that I can knock it out with the Mega Medicham. I'm going to baton pass out into my Mega Medicham here with the Agility up. As my opponent hard switches into Mega Lopunny, I'm not sure why. Maybe to scout to see what I wanted to do, but it's not going to work out for him as he loses his Mega Lopunny to the Toxic. So Nidoqueen's going to pick up that kill there, and I'm just going to click Drain Punch here in case he was Choice Scarf variant or like a Chople Berry variant. I didn't want to, I guess it didn't matter if he was Choice Scarf since I had +2 speed, but if he was like a Chople Berry variant, I wanted to do less to him in case, let me see if this makes sense, less to him because he was going to be able to, I'm going to hit Drain Punch, or if I clicked High Jump Kick, he would lose a lot more health, so on the following turn, my Drain Punch would do a lot less. So on the first turn, I wanted to Drain Punch so that I would do less if he had the Chople Berry, and then on the following turn he would have more health than he would have had I clicked High Jump Kick. And the following turn when I hit Drain Punch, after he had hit me, I would get a lot more health back and be healthier than I would have been, and that was the idea behind that, instead of clicking High Jump Kick there. Now he's going to be forced to bring in his not his Mega Metagross, but his regular Metagross, and even at -1, High Jump Kick is a nuke, and we're going to win this game pretty decisively with a nice 4-0 victory. Pretty solid game here. Outside of the Durant Stone Edge miss, I think there were 0 hacks besides the screeches that he missed. But like I mentioned, I played the game as if he landed the screeches, so that it didn't really matter. And the Stone Edge miss, like I mentioned, had he landed that the following turn, had he landed the Stone Edge, I would have still lived. I would have been able to click Agility and baton pass out into Mega Medicham. The only thing different that I see that could have possibly happened is that he would have been able to intimidate me more, but all of his Pokemon were basically in range of Mega Medicham plus Weavile anyway, so it wasn't that big of an issue. Or I would have immediately called for a restart as soon as I saw. And like I mentioned, I didn't immediately notice the Stone Edge miss. I just thought maybe he didn't have coverage and he got really little chip off on me. And then I realized he missed. But by that time, I hadn't really revealed anything, but there wasn't really the game hadn't been decided by that miss, I guess. I think that's something that's important. Maybe somebody should do a video on that, being able to understand when hacks matters and when hacks doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it is unfortunate no matter what. But I don't think that Stone Edge miss would have mattered had he landed that. Like I said, my Zapdos would have been around 20% or something like that. Would have baton passed the following turn. Instead of knocking out the Durant, I would have baton passed it into my Mega Medicham, as he likely clicked either Ironhead or Stone Edge once again, and did maximum half to my Mega Medicham, and then I would have been able to knock him out with the high jump kick, and then Mega Lopunny drops to the Drain Punch, Crocodile drops to the Drain Punch even after Intimidate, and why do I keep saying Mega? Metagross drops to the Adamant Max Attack, high jump kick as well, since it is a neutral type attack due to his steel typing. Is secondary steel typing, or is it a secondary psychic type? Either way, his dual typing makes him neutral to fighting type attacks, meaning Mega Medicham was basically nuking his entire team after I got an agility pass to it, and that was the whole idea. Like I felt like while this team matchup was even, in my opinion, I felt like he had huge threats like Tornadus Therian and Sylveon that he didn't bring. I felt like there were some cool techs that he could have brought that could have caught me off guard, and I'm really glad that I was able to bring a tech like Agility Baton Pass into Mega Medicham and make it work out for the better, and finally be able to bring, one of those heat builds that you're just happy that paid off. It's just satisfying, and satisfaction of hard work is one of three main components to happiness and strength, and the other two being, family and friends and things like that. So definitely very satisfied with this build, and looking forward to finishing the season with a very, very strong showing. After starting the season with 2 losses, we have bounced back with 6 straight wins and looking to get our 7th win in week 9. So yeah, we'll be back next week. So first of all, good game to Bronson and the Portland Poliwags. Good luck the rest of the season. And we're looking forward to our next match against Bacon Chest, aka Junior GB, I think, coach of the St. Kilda Superiors, who is also one of the top ranked teams. He's in the top 5, I do believe. And nobody's touching Sky right now. He's the top of the top. I may do an update video on the PBF a little bit later this week or something. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week. Let me know what you thought about the prep and the battle on both sides of the field. Let me know what you thought was play of the game, MVP of the game, etc., all the good stuff. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.